Hello and happy full moon in Libra. And I'm so glad that Venus is also direct. I just would love to take a little bit of time to share with you the frequency that has been coming through this, in my personal opinion, a shit show of an intense Venus retrograde that we're just climbing out of, and sort of how this full moon in Libra is like culminating all of these lessons that this retrograde has been throwing at us for quite a while, for like 40 days and 40 nights, although I feel like it's been longer. And I feel like for a lot of us, it really has fast-tracked our ascension, which is really exciting. But it has also been ridiculously draining. I'm going to share a little bit about what I've been going through. Like, for example, yesterday afternoon, I was so exhausted. I was like, you know what? It's 4 p.m. I'm going to take a short little nap before dinner, right? Because I was so excited. I was going to be having like this pasta dish, blah, blah, blah. Tell me how I didn't wake up until 4 a.m. the next morning. Like, I've been waking up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. every single day for all of the Venus retrograde. And of course, like, if you know about the 4 a.m. club, of course, like, it is when the veil is the thinnest. And I have actually come to grow to love being awake when the entire world, or, the rest of the world is sleeping, and it's just quiet, and I can allow the downloads to come through. I can hear the whispers of my soul. I can decrypt all of the codes, all of the messages, all of the keys that have been really getting sprinkled in to give me some kind of clue as to where I can go moving forward. Thank you, Ashara. So I feel like this has been a time of culminating and celebrating. So this is kind of what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about the frequency that you're now reaching, because if you've been doing the work, if you've been digging deep, if you've been asking yourself, because there's all of these questions about your worth and your relationships, but not even just, I know a lot of people are like, this is heavy on actual romantic relationships. But for me personally, this was really more about my relationship with myself, my relationship with society, my relationship with my future, like with where I'm going, with what I want to create, with what reality I want to be in when all of this shit show is quote unquote over. I don't want to subscribe to the fear anymore, and I want to pick a frequency that is more of freedom, right? And so, interestingly enough, as we're having this full moon in Libra, it's opposing Chiron, right? And Chiron is the wounded healer. And Chiron, I hate Chiron, love Chiron, I don't know. But I really feel like it was really pulling all of these core wounds to the surface so that we have an opportunity to turn those wounds into our wakings, to make us finally get that light bulb on, to recognize our worth, to realize that we are so much more powerful than we are giving ourselves credit for, and then to be able to reclaim our power back so that we know like what we want to do moving forward, right? So that we're not just playing by someone else's rules, so that we are really realizing that our productivity doesn't determine our worth, right? So for example, I don't know about you, but I know one of my biggest wounds has been that if I don't produce, if I don't show up every day, if I'm not consistent, if I'm not on brand, if I don't have the great sales pitch, the hook, the title, the energy, the, oh my God, the kitschy thing, the best lipstick, the most on trend clothing or haircut or makeup look or whatever, that I'm not doing enough, that I don't deserve that money, that I don't deserve to live in the abundance, that I don't get to have those freedoms, that I don't get to live a life that I have earned already, to be honest with you. Because so often or too often we're told that like only these people who are either hack the system or have some nepotism or have like whatever, whatnot, or lazy, or I don't know, they're the ones that get it, right? The ones who do the least amount of work get it, and it's not fair. I worked harder. I put in more time. I burnt myself out. Right? Like I poured blood, sweat, and tears into this. I should be having that. Why am I not up there? Right? And it's this core wound that we've been taught to love. We've been taught we have been taught, okay, and brainwashed to believe that suffering and burnout is safety. That producing more and killing yourself over trying to get something either perfect or to look the right way or to act the right way or to say things the right way, that in itself is safety of being not yourself, of being not of your soul, of being not aligned with what you want, with what your soul wants, right? That's not safe to do what you want to do. It's not safe to talk the way you want to talk. It's not safe to, dress how you want to dress, look how you want to look, date who you want to date, etc., etc. Right? So it puts you in this cage of false safety, right? And so this whole Venus retrograde, in my opinion, and at least personally what I've been going through, has been really breaking down all of those wounds so that we can all wake up and finally fucking realize that everything that you've always wanted, like, and if you've followed me for any length of time, like I'm always like, you get to have it all, you get to have it all, you get to have it all, right? Thank you for the follow. But like, if you can have it all, right? How can you have it all if you are stuck in this cage that you were taught to love? If you were stuck in this system, right? Like even a golden cage is still a cage, no matter how good the gold is, right? You're still not going to be free. You're still not going to feel liberated. You're still not going to, even if you were surrounded by abundance, you're still not going to be happy. You're still going to feel lack, and you're still going to be like, this is not enough, right? So when the fuck does it stop? And this is when it starts to stop, right? Because of this Chiron wound finally getting healed. So my question to you is, what wounds have been coming up for you? What, especially with your relationship with, again, I was saying, like my relationship with my soul, my relationship with myself, my relationship with who I know I am, and yet I won't even allow myself to like receive it in a way, right? Like when you have been caged for so long and then they open the cage, most often, if you look at it with animals, they will not leave the cage, or like they will go out for a little bit and they'll always come back because that's what's familiar, that's what's safe. But again, it's a falsehood. And so for those of you who are ready to rise, for those of you who are ready to break free, for those of you who are doing the work to unbind yourself from these false truths, from this false love and light that has been like slathered onto you, then listen on, give a follow, subscribe, whatever. Because this is what I'm going to be talking about moving forward. And I'm so thankful. I am now finally getting my own clarity after I've been shedding off a lot of these false truths and moving forward. Now, here's the kicker. Suki Stella says, where did you get your glasses? Oh, I got these. They're actually from Costco, but they're Carolina Herrera's. But thank you. I love them. And thank you for the follow. So here's another thing to think about. All right. And I also have notes because I just want to make sure that I get through all of the channel things that I wanted to share with you today before I also like pass out, because I'm so exhausted from being up since 4 a.m. So Libra. All right. Now, I'm personally not a huge fan of Libra because I do find Libras to be a little bit pretentious, and they don't really ever choose a side while they're silently judging everyone behind their backs because they want to have this face. There's a high vibe of Libra. And here's the interesting thing. Libra is represented by what? The scales. The scales of what? Justice. Okay? And so for me, personally, I have a very, 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 very strong connection with justice. I believe that justice needs to be served. I really don't give a fuck what anyone else says. I hear a lot about compassion and turning the other cheek and, love and light is it. And you don't need to, serve someone their sentence, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, they need to suffer the consequences of their actions, for both sides. Like, if you do something really amazing, you should get a really amazing reward. That's justice, okay? I'm not just talking about bad justice, but if you do something really, really, really bad, you should get the same kind of suffering in return. Like, you should get a consequence. There's always consequences for your actions. If you're showing up, if you're putting in the work, if you're spreading that joy, if you're being the frequency, if you're speaking your truth, you should be rewarded, right? Etc., etc. So that theme is also running rampant during this full moon. And again, it's going to be for like the weekend, right? So pay attention, see what things come up, and see how you actually want to interact with justice. Right now, I'm not saying that I have to wield my proverbial sword and make sure that I'm slicing every single judgment or serving judgment to every single person on this planet. That's not what I'm saying. Yes, karma can go do her thing. She's my best motherfucking friend. I can call on other primordials that I've gotten to know and that I'm absolutely in love with, and they can go and do it and serve justice on my behalf if they want to, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, justice needs to be served, right? So, warrior, hi! I am talking about it in general, but, insert whoever you want or whoever comes to mind, you know what I mean? Then you might want to look into that. So, where does justice need to be served, right? Like, for example, even if you're taking it on a personal level, if you feel like you have done the work, if you have helped a lot of people, if you have gone above and beyond and you have been a good person and have like racked up like a ton of karma points, like good karma points, maybe you need to actually exercise justice on yourself and force yourself to receive it, like to receive the reward. Like, I know that sounds so crazy. Thank you so much for the roses. I know that sounds crazy, but think about that for a hot second. If you have not been getting your reward, yet you've been doing all of this work, maybe the question to ask yourself is, what are you doing that you are to refuse the receiving of those rewards? What are you doing to refuse receiving those rewards? Because at the end of the day, the universe wants you to receive those rewards. The universe wants you to be happy. The universe wants you to be abundant. The universe wants you to have all of the things that you want and more. To have your HEA, aka happily ever after. So if you're not living your HEA, then what are you doing to not receive that? Right? Like, ultimately, yeah, maybe it's a mindset shift. Maybe it's you energetically being like, oh yeah, that's right. I am worthy of rest. That was another big thing that came up for me. Like, double tap the screen and comment if you are in the same boat. But one of the things that I had to deprogram myself on was giving myself permission to rest, right? Because again, productivity is celebrated in this paradigm that we're currently living in. Right? Yes, my face is giving the ick face because while I do believe that you do need to do things, you need to take action in some shape, way, or form in order to get things in the 3D, right? But I think that it is, especially in American culture, pushed as like a badge of honor that you were on the hustle train, or that, you pulled like 10 all-nighters just to get your product out. And people are like, oh my God, they are so nice. Like, they worked so hard. I'm definitely going to buy from them. Why? Right? Why is it that resting equals lazy? That resting equals like not producing? That resting equals you're not worthy? That resting means that you don't get to receive? Why don't we flip that bitch around and take that back and say, no, resting actually equals being in receiving mode? Because if you're do, and you're basically do it, like, it's like doo-doo, you're shitting yourself because you're just working yourself to the bone, that's output. Okay, like, let's logicify it for our human brains, because I know that your soul is recognizing what I'm saying. Double tap the screen if you agree, right? So if you are doing, right? If you are doing, you are not receiving, you are outputting. So if you're outputting, you're not inputting, you're not allowing yourself to receive. So wouldn't that by logic dictate that in order for you to receive, you would need to fucking rest? Like, put the fucking keyboard down, put the phone down, put the whatever, put your work down and rest, right? Open your arms, take a break, take a breather, like, go slower, right? A lot of the times you'll hear this too, is like, the fastest way to get where you want is to slow the fuck down. Because sometimes when we go so fast, we tend to overlook and see the door that we actually really wanted to go through that has the money at the end of the day, where we didn't have to like run a fucking marathon to get it. Why does it have to be that it's so hard to make money, or it's so hard to find true love, or it's so hard to, make whatever goal that you want to accomplish? Why does it have to be hard? Who said that? Who said that? Deprogram that. That's another thing that you can let go of tonight, right? So the thing is that tonight is truly a portal for you to walk through. And for you to be able to understand that walking through this portal, you can finally walk away from the hustle. You can walk away from the stress. You can walk away from the worry. You can close the door. I actually wrote a pretty powerful channeled Substack post about the things that I'm choosing to leave behind and the things that I'm choosing instead. So if you want to go to my Substack and read it, like, by all means. Or if you're rewatching this live on my Substack, then you can go back. It's the last post. But I find it pretty profound that in order for me to get the rest that I actually personally needed, I had to get sick. Like, the first time that I got sick in 20 plus years, okay? Like, I don't get sick. I just don't. I've never gotten COVID. I mean, knock on wood, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a pretty healthy little bear. And anyway. Oh my gosh, I'm about to fall asleep after I do this live. But my point is that I had to get knocked out in order to actually lay supine, lay flat in my bed and like not be able to do anything. And then once I got out of the sickness, then it was like other somatics were coming up, and I've been going to bed around 8 or 9 p.m. and I'm waking up around 4 or 5 a.m. And I have to say, it's kind of liberating. Like, the other thing that I wanted to note was the fact that I also just stopped subscribing to social media because I needed to hear what my soul was saying. I needed to channel things that had nothing to do with what everybody else was talking about because, our world is going to shit. Right? And so instead of watching the news and trying to figure out, oh my God, okay, the tariffs are this now, the tariffs are that now, oh no, now this law is passed, oh no, now this person has been fired, oh no, and now they're saying this thing about running a third term, and oh, blah, 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 blah. Like, I was like, I'm going to go sleep. Or I'm just going to go and play like this little game on my phone, or like, I'm just gonna journal. I'm just gonna like declutter. I'm just gonna like slow down and figure out what I need to do in order to set myself up for success, because clearly what I've been doing before has not worked. So something needs to change, right? And one of the biggest things was like, you know, when I envisioned my ideal life, and like, you know, I've been getting so many transmissions about the new earth, and it's not just a state of mind, and it is being built, and there are people, you know what I mean, like all of this stuff. It's like when I get visions of living there on that timeline, it's so glorious. And it doesn't even mean that you're in this stuck state of like you're not just like walking around in a stuck state of peace and bliss, okay? Like you still run the gamut of emotions, but it is so much more harmonious and utopian in the fact that when disappointing things happen, you don't just rage and projectile vomit and blame other people. You take responsibility and accountability and have a whole system of support in order to move through that in a loving and gentle way, so that you can ascend in a more effortless and like loving way. Does that make any sense? I mean, like double tap if you agree or if you've heard anything similar, okay? So, like, ultimately, we have to take, like, Earth is like a school, right? And it's here for us to help us evolve. So that's why we forget who we are, and we came here to learn certain lessons. And so we have to, like, you know, go through these things. So we have soul contracts with other souls so that we can say, oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now I learned from you, and then like move on. But that's not necessary. Okay, these are like some new earth transmissions. I'll get back to the full moon in just a hot second. But like, that's not the only way that you can learn your lessons. And it's not necessarily the most efficient way to learn your lessons. And so that's what needs to change, because it's not just about us humans, right? Like, yes, there are actual humans who have human souls, but then there's a lot of starseeds. And there are, like, you know, humans who have a starseed soul, like from that are Arcturian or Lemurian or Orions or, you know, Indigos, or like whatever kind of starseed you want to be, right? And then there's light workers. There's like all these different beings, right? And so in human bodies. So when people are like humans are the problem, I don't think the humans are the problem, because more ascended, like, you know, higher intelligent beings are still in human bodies, and they still have fucked it up on Earth. So it's not just a human realm thing. It is like an all realm thing that needs to be refined. I'm going to put it that way nicely, and I'll talk about more of that in another video. But for now, a whole reason why I'm bringing that up is because with this full moon in Libra, we are trying to rebalance the scales of justice. We are trying to heal these wounds and close the door on all of the lies that the paradigms have taught us, so we can break free from those cages that we were taught to love. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing, right? And so once you do that, you're able to move into this state of sovereignty, all right, where you really can truly call all of the shots. And one of the things that I've personally been going through that's been really exciting is like finally stepping outside of the matrix, like fully out, like where time doesn't exist. And I have to tell you how wildly peaceful and liberating it feels. Like all of a sudden, then there's not like this level of anxiety or worry or impulse that like I have to produce, because again, and I used to toot my own horn that I was like the most productive person on this planet. No one can work harder than me, and I thought that was cool. No, that's not cool. That's just called, you know, you subscribing to a system like that, and you know that was never meant for you. And so some people, and some people are for that system, and, you know, they're the ones that rose during like the Pluto and Capricorn era. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's not the only system, and I don't think it's the best system, because look at where it put us now, right? And so we're all climbing out of that, and we're all sitting here going, okay, wait a second, there has to be a better way, because that's when you step into like divine feminine flow of being of a higher frequency, of allowing things to just come to you, right? But it also isn't stuck in just this state of like, it is, but it isn't at the same time. You can still be real. It still needs to be grounded. It still needs to be rooted in something. If you want to take the earth, for example, or like a tree, right? It's like a big oak tree has like roots, like deep freaking roots, and a large, like, trunk to keep it stable. But yeah, when the winds blow, the tree, like, the branches sway, the leaves dance, like, you know what I'm saying? So you have flexibility, but you still need to be grounded in something that is your truth. And only when you are grounded in your truth can you then start to create your realm or your reality where you are the main character, where you are having the happily ever after, where you are being able to be, living a life of wealth and abundance and happiness and joy, etc., the way that you've always wanted. So like for me, it's like, I think that's why I subscribe so much to fantasy, and I subscribe so much to movies and television. That's why I've been like an actress for so long, and like always catered to the arts, because watching like storytelling, that's why storytelling is so powerful, right? That's why like there are influencers or content creators who are really good storytellers who you tend to follow, because we all learn through stories. I mean, that's gone back from generations and generations. And when we tell a story, there's, it's like the fables and the allegories, there's always a meaning behind it. You gravitate towards stories where you identify with the main character or their story arc or where they're going and what they're doing and what they needed to overcome. And I think that's also what we need to think about moving forward too. So if you're doing any rituals tonight for the full moon in Libra, right? And again, Venus is direct. Thank the fucking stars. Oh my God. I honestly don't like Pisces energy either. Not that I hate on Pisces, because I have a lot of I not a lot, but like I have quite a few Pisces friends, and Pisces are just like adorable creatures. But like it has not boded well for me, because I like to know, I need to know, I have to know. And right now I can't know. I've been in this season of not knowing, and it has been a struggle for me. I have been on the struggle bus of not knowing, but finally the clarity's coming. So like, again, I thank the stars above. So I digress. Hi, how are you? So as we're like climbing through this and emerging, and again, we had like when the Venus Cazimi happened, it was like then we got to rise from the underworld, just like Persephone, okay? And we get to rise from all of the lessons that this retrograde has taught us, and all of the lessons, all of these wounds, all of the things that have been coming up, the ugly stuff, okay? Like the snot, the snot dripping, like tears streaming, like, just ugly crying stuff coming out. What is it that you've been learning about yourself? What is it that you realize you need to drop, right? I'll give you one example of mine from like, that came up for me just the other day, which was like, I was still holding on to these last remnants of grief from my dog dying like 7 years ago, okay? Now this, like my dog Strider was like, my fur baby, like my pride. It was like literally like my own child, okay? And he was my everything. He definitely chose me when I first got him, and we were just as thick as thieves, and he was just my everything, all right? Toy Maltese, like white little fluffy, like, and again, like dog-like owner, just, oh my God, like too smart for his own good, and like, boy, did we have so much fun together. Super social. Thank you so much for all the gifts. So I realized that like, because I was just like talking through this with one of my guides, and I was like, I was still holding on to this grief. I felt like I wasn't a good enough mother. Like, should I have done more? Like, I didn't know if maybe he could have lasted a couple more years if I had paid more attention, or if I wasn't so absorbed with my work at the end, and blah, blah, blah. Because the way that he died was really tragic. He ended up having seizures, and like I was holding him in my arms as he was like literally having these crazy seizures. And I think he pretty much almost died in my arms as I was taking him to the vet ER. Like it was just a very, very traumatic thing to experience. Like there's one thing about seeing all of the death and gore and stuff like in Game of Thrones and blah, blah, blah. But like, I don't know, when you see it happen in real life to something or someone that you love, it is very, very traumatic. And I felt like maybe I didn't do enough, right? But of course, the vet had reassured me, like there was nothing that you could have done, like, and he went really fast. So like, it's okay. Like it was his time to go. Like his liver was failing, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. So I had to let it go. I had to forgive myself. Like my Strider still helps me from doggy heaven. Like he always brings me like clients. He'll bring me things like, so it's not like he has a grudge against me. I had to release it from myself. Right. And I had to say, okay, once I can release this grief, then I can have another dog, because I was so traumatized. I didn't want to get another dog and then have to go through that kind of death again. It was too painful, you know? And that was another thing that I realized. It was about like, you know, how can you show up, you know, with your emotions raw and all, and just say how you really feel, regardless of what other people think, regardless if people think you're too fiery, regardless if people think you're too happy, too sad, too real, too raw, too much cursing, too angsty, too whatever. So who cares, right? Because ultimately, if you are speaking your truth, whether it's a popular opinion or not, you're going to be emitting the frequency that is going to allow those who do resonate with you to find you, right? And you've heard that 100,000 times before. So what is it that you need to do to step into that frequency where you're saying, all right, this is my realm. This is me. I'm the main character of the story, of my story. Okay. And if you want to enter my world, well, this is what it's all about. Like, and the right ones will enter, and the right ones will enter. So for example, right, like I was sitting there and I'm like, I'm having such a hard time, like getting back to posting every day. What am I going to talk about? Are they really ready to hear all of the things that I've been hearing about the new earth and what my new mission is, and, you know, how I'm shifting and what the reality is moving forward, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, I don't think that they're ready. I don't know if they're ready. Like this stuff is some next level stuff. Like, I don't even know. Like, but it makes sense. Obviously it resonates with me because, you know, just been getting the downloads. And it's like, okay, well, what do I do? And then, you know, I'm clicking around and I'm seeing other people's websites. I find a blog, and of course it's like, oh, this is a really helpful blog post that, of course, leads to their $500 course, you know? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, a $497 course because marketing. And I'm like seeing all of these marketing strategies to like loop you in and to, you know, make you want to buy. And I'm just like, I just don't subscribe to this anymore. Like I understand creating passive funnels, but like, this is just like yuck, right? It just gives me the ick. And the worst thing that gives me the ick are like, you know, the spiritual girlies who are still using the patriarchal paradigms of marketing in order to make sales so that they can live their luxe life doing whatever. And I'm like, it just gives me such the ick. I don't want to do business that way. I don't want to be launching my products that way. I don't want to be like having to sell someone on the things. I feel like if you know, you know. Like honestly, like, yes, I understand that people's brains are like overstimulated right now. You're still flipping. There's like a lot of like needing the quick little shiny flashy moment, but we're getting out of overconsumerism. We're getting out of overstimulation. People are wanting longer format content. I still think it's an art and a skill to be able to do short form content, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's like people like the short form content, you know, on a day-to-day basis. But how many of you can say, oh, I remember that video, that short form video, like a month later, a year later? Probably not. But if you've read a book, if you've watched a movie, right, like a 2.5 hour movie or something like that, or if you've binged a whole entire TV series, you're going to remember that thing a year later. You see what I'm saying? You're going to remember that hour-long podcast where you're like, oh my God, that like literally changed my life. Or like, oh my God, I just watched this movie, or I read that book and it was like that character was so me. And like I totally understood what they were going through, and that helped me understand what I needed to do to move forward. Isn't that when you remember, right? And isn't that when you start to develop your loyalty towards a person, a brand, an influencer, a whatever, right? It's the ones that impact you the most. It's the ones that make you feel the most. It's the ones that make you like feel understood, feel seen, feel heard, feel valued, right? Because when someone actually puts in the time to make you feel valued, that you're not just some like, oh great, you're just another like on my screen, right? Then you're like, oh, I want to hang out with her. I want to be friends with her. I want to like do coffee with her. And then that builds that trust, that builds that relationship, right? When someone's being authentic. And it's interesting because what is authenticity these days, right? Like, I know for me, it was like, I still have been having such a hard time like wanting to post consistently. And I was like, last time I was like, oh, maybe I should just like do a series about, well, I'm just going to say whatever the fuck I want to say, authentic, raw, and real for 30 days and just see what happens. And like someone who was watching me live was like, oh my God, yes, we need that. We need more authenticity. So what does that mean? Does that mean that you just want to hear what's real? You just want to hear, what's truthful and honest, and not be, having to buy something every single day, like, or every other video? Like, what is it, right? So that's where I ask you, like, what is it that you want moving forward? Because again, as we're healing these wounds, it's about tuning into your heart. Venus is ruling your love, your money, and your beauty. So it's like, how do you want to beautify yourself? Like, what do you consider beautiful? What do you consider pretty? What do you consider you're a happily ever after? And what are you willing to do in order to fall back in love with yourself, fall back in love with your dreams, and fall back in love with the possibility and the reality that you get to have all these things without the effort, without the frustrations, without the burnout, without the worries and the stress and the exhaustion? Who says that you have to earn it? Don't you just get to receive it just because you are? Don't you just get to have it because you were born to? Don't you just get to experience it because you can? Whoever said that you couldn't? Again, isn't that a cage that you were taught to love? And isn't that something that you want to break free from? Because I know for me, I would much rather be sitting here, like, it's been wild. Like, I have been sitting here just like all by my lonesome, enjoying the peace and quiet, and like talking with the birds outside, and laying in bed and getting a shit ton of rest. And you know what's funny? I still have a roof over my head. I have a whole refrigerator full of food, and I still was able to pay all my bills. So what was I freaking out about? You see what I mean? Like, sometimes we have to really get stripped away from all of the distractions to finally realize what it is that truly lights your soul up, to really hear what your soul truly wants and what kind of reality it really wants to create. Because once you get to the point where you can understand that you can create your own reality, that you can jump timelines, that you can truly ascend, that you can quantum leap, that you can get what you want with ease, effortlessness, and flow, don't you realize that then life becomes easy? And isn't that a good thing? Why are we saying it's a bad thing? And why are we saying that? Maybe you do want to like stomp your feet and have a rage fueled fit and like go do a burning fire ceremony and like howl at the moon. That could be your reality HEA too. So why not that? Right? Why not? You can create whatever reality you desire. So why not step into the one that feels best for you? I feel like that's the calling because, okay, gosh, I really didn't even look at my notes. But I think that we all have the power. We just have to remember that we have more abilities than we oftentimes give ourselves credit for, right? And so it's not coming from a stuck up place of like, oh my God, see, so like I made like 6 figures on TikTok shop last month. So that's why you need to buy my program. And like, look at all of my blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm kind of over that sales pitch too, even though they have the numbers to prove it. Just because they have the numbers to prove it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. You have your own story, your own strengths, your own weaknesses, your own dreams, your own goals, your own purpose, your own destinies that your soul wants to accomplish, right? And so mine also too has its own mission. Some missions do align and some don't. And I just have realized for myself that most of the missions that I've been seeing out there are not aligned with mine, especially in the spiritual space. But like they just don't. And I don't know a nicer way to say it, but they just don't. And that's okay. That's totally okay. Because if you think about it, there are different people for different levels of ascension. And that's great. So, you know, if you're at one point and you really resonate with someone, good, awesome, go for it. You know what I mean? I know what my people are ready for. I know what I'm building moving forward. I know that I'm paving the way to the new earth. And yes, again, it's real. So if you want to come with me, if you want to build it with me, if you want to be trailblazing that trail and being one of the first people to get there, then yeah, you know, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. Like, you know what I mean? Get on my email list. It's completely free. You know, like it's not rocket science. Like I would challenge you or invite you or encourage you to take this time during this full moon in Libra and these energies to really unsubscribe from the people that are still in those golden gilded cages, right? Those false ideologies that keep you stuck, that keep you in the matrix, that keep you wishing that you could have more, but there's no real way to get it, right? And then start intentionally subscribing to people who are speaking a truth that you really want to be a part of, that your soul is like, yes, this is what I desire. Yes, this is what I want to create. Yes, this is the story that I want to tell. Yes, this is how, like, these are the kind of people that are going to be that's going to be my best friend or whatever. Does that make sense? Let me see if there was anything more that I needed to talk about. So yeah, a question is like, well, here's another thing about Libra. Let me do another thing about Libra, because again, this full moon in Libra. Where have you been overgiving? To all my people pleasers, right? The martyrs, the victims, right? The slaves to the systems. Where have you been overgiving? That's not to say that you need to gatekeep your energy, but it means that there's a difference. There have been so many downloads been coming through, but this is one that I want to share tonight. There's a very, very big difference between being of service and servitude. There is a very big difference between being of service to someone, like me showing up to the live stream, me dropping these like knowledge bombs, and being of servitude, which would be, I'm so tired, but I have to post every day. I don't have a choice. I have to do this even though I'm exhausted. I have to write this. I can only stick to tarot because that's my niche and that's what my account was built on. And I can't talk about anything else because the algorithm is just going to push me down. And like, I have to like put it in this way because they say that you have to have a hook, a visual hook, a written hook, and you know, a whatever hook in order to be able to get someone in so that they can buy. That's being in servitude, a slave to the system. Like even on Substack, it gives me such the ick every single time I see a Substack. So like, this is how you can grow fast on Substack. This is how I grew. Like I got I quit my job and got 6 figures writing on Substack. This is how you use Substack notes. This is how you use like the it's the same formula as TikTok, right? For the TikTok coaches, like the TikTok girlies, as it is on Substack. And I'm like, hide. Like, I don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, they can do them, but that's old school paradigm. That's the old earth paradigm. That's what we're trying to leave behind. Because it's clickbait. It's pushing the pain point of, oh, you don't have enough? Here, let me show you exactly how you can do it too, right? I don't think it's coming from sovereignty and really wanting to help. It's for views. It's for, you know what I mean? It's like the coaches who teach coaches. Like, I get it, but it's just not my story. And it's not one that I personally want to subscribe to. And it's not how I want to build my audience. I would rather let my frequency speak for itself. Let my energy speak for itself. Let my words speak for itself. And if you resonate with them, I mean, like the people who stay on you know me, I'll talk for 2 hours straight. By the way, podcast is finally getting started. I'm so excited. So excited. I'm in the works. So if you do want to be the first to learn about my podcast so you can hear me all the time in your car when you're doing your laundry or whatever, do subscribe. You can subscribe for free to my Substack because I'll putting it on there and get on my email list, which the link, my Stan Store link in my bio will show you how. Let's see. Caramel Goddess Supreme. Girl, when I get paid, I'm going to book a call because I want you to read my... Oh, I would love to. I would love to read your birth chart. I love doing that. Which is interesting that you bring that up because I was trying to pick a perfect day to launch my podcast and have my podcast have its own birth chart that I could chart, like, you know, navigate it. And I was like stressing myself out about it. And then it started to feel solid. And then I was like, oh my God, okay, I need to do it on this day and it's going to be perfect. And then like my body shut down. And so it's really interesting. Like when you start to okay, I need to do it on this day and it's going to be perfect. And then like my body shut down. And so it's really interesting. Like when you start to understand unique design works, how your own soul works and how it communicates with your body. It's like, I know for me now, it's like the moment that I'm doing something that I'm not supposed to be doing, literally my soul shuts my body down. Like I'm like dead, brain fog, heavy, can't function. And I'm like, oh yeah, nope, I'm not supposed to be doing that. Okay, fine. Switch directions, get back to lightness, get back to ease, get back to peace. And all of a sudden, everything that I was wanting, boop, 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 and it just like clicks instantly, like so effortlessly. And then you're like, oh my God, this feels really great. This feels really good. And so that's what I invite you to like play with now, right? Because you have so much more power than you realize to create the reality that you want. Right? And I don't even want to say like reality as in, I hate using that word, but it's like, okay, let's go back to fantastical. All right. This is like, hi. This is like this is your chance to close the door on all of those old paradigms, all of those old beliefs, all of those old systems, and then you get to rewrite it, right? What if you rewrite the stars? So what if you rewrite your realm, right? Think of this like your favorite fantasy book or your favorite fantasy story, right? It's like, okay, you get to rewrite it. You get to be the main character. You get to decide if it's easy or hard for you. You get to decide what time you wake up and what time you get to go to bed. You get to decide how the money flows to you and like whether you want to do work for it or not, or if you just want to show up and just, quote unquote, get paid to exist. Okay, so like you can start writing that. You can start doing that, right? But it's a frequency. And I think this full moon in Libra is trying to rebalance those scales for you so that you can get to that frequency of where you ultimately want to be living, on what realm, on what timeline, right? Where it's just easier. Now, I'm going to be honest, I, again, don't like not knowing. And this whole walking through the unknown has been one of the most horrific experiences of my life because I really do just like to know. I've always been a girly who knows what they want and who is like, I've got a plan and I'm going to do it and like, we're going to get there. And it's hard to not know and to still want to, move forward. And then just kind of like make it up as I go along, or like be like, okay, well, let's try this and this doesn't work. Okay, let's try this and this doesn't work. Okay, whatever. But I will say this, there is a wonderful beauty about not knowing, because then the dream gets really big. Because then I can't really disclose it right now, but just as an example, okay? Like I thought I knew what my purpose or what my new mission was, because like I'm no longer just like a psychic or like a coach or like here to just, I can still channel messages for you, don't get me wrong. But like now, as a dog's barking, thank you, Hecate, now it's like, the things that I can do or what I'm supposed to be doing, especially for the new earth and moving forward, it's quite honestly terrifying. Thrilling, exciting. Oh, such a wild adventure. Like, probably wouldn't have it any other way. But I honestly, the way that I would describe it is this. I don't think that one person should have that much power. I would just say it like that. Right? But I think that the only people who receive that kind of power are people who would never use it to begin with. Although obviously you need to use it in a very discerning way. Discernment is key, right? So I'm sitting here being like, okay, let's recalibrate. Let's figure this out. Let's change things, because the way that I was doing things before just wasn't working. It was what I thought the world needed me to be in order to succeed, in order to be acknowledged, right? It's like you have to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you have to be a certain way in order to be at the top. And like, I will be honest, when I literally transformed myself, hello acting skills, in order to look the part, in order to like say the right things and to understand psychology and to understand people and sort of like, I don't want to say manipulate them, but like basically give them a version of me that was palatable for them. Yeah, of course, 10 out of 10, I booked the job. Of course, 10 out of 10, that person became my friend. Of course, 10 out of 10, that person started dating me or whatever. But was that really me? No. So then when the act dropped and then all of a sudden I'm like, no, you don't get to talk to me that way. Or like, no, that actually goes against my morals, values, and beliefs, as the hairpin falls out off of my hair. But you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden they're like, ew, who are you? And like, ew, that wasn't like that. And like, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, why did I waste my time trying to have that person be my friend or have that, do that job that I thought I really wanted? I didn't really want it. I just wanted that recognition, right? And so it's so funny how like with 2020 hindsight and like really like doing the shadow work, that messy work, like it is in the shadows that we can see the stars, right? And so it's kind of funny because when you start to see all of the different stars, all of the different constellations, and all of the different stories that they're telling. It all is kind of a reckoning. That is the wrong word, but it is kind of a reckoning. It is a battle cry from the stars to guide you back home, to guide you back home to you, to guide you back to your true soul's mission, your true soul's purpose, your true soul's destiny, and what you are meant to do in order to make this world a better place. It's kind of funny because as I've looked like across the span of my whole life, like, and I'm like a Disney girl through and through. Hello, like, Aurora sweatshirt, like cardigan in the back, right? Or whatever. But it's like, interestingly enough, I've always just wanted to make this world a better place. Like, I've just always wanted to like make people smile. Like, yes, you can find love. Yes, you can do what you want. Yes, you can live happily ever after. Like, that's always been my thing. I just wanted to make people smile. I wanted to make people feel better about themselves. I wanted people to like, wake up and like go after their dreams. That's like the second tattoo that I got with way too much. Anyway, it's an ambergris, but it's like, life's a game, dare to play, right? Like, dare to get off the couch, dare to go after what it is. You know what I mean? Because the biggest regret is not going after it and then being like, well, what if? So it's like, what if you just tried and you failed? Okay, fine. Then you figured it out. Like, but at least I tried. You know what I mean? Versus like, oh, I really wish I should have done the blah, 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 and then you didn't, right? I mean, I'll give you a classic example. So I've been in like the acting industry for a really long time. It wasn't my first choice of vocation, I'll be honest, because I would rather be singing and dancing because music is my soul. But I have like a few credits, like, and a few amazing experiences, and I'm very lucky and blessed. But, I really, really wanted to like, I don't know. I really, really thought that, being a character and like doing this thing was like going to be so great. And I feel like most of the experiences fell so short of that. The celebrities that I met, they are normal people too, with just a really big ego. Like, I didn't find the family that I thought that I had wanted. I didn't find the fulfillment that I thought that I had wanted. And I think that that's kind of sad. You know what I mean? Like, spending your whole life doing something and then it just doesn't pan out, not the way that you want to. And so, hi, Jack, how are you? So I think that it's interesting because I do have stories to tell, and I do still have things that I want to say. Hi, Eddie! But that's why I'm writing a fantasy book now, and I'm really excited. And I was doing like the overarching, like, I'm writing these at 4:00 in the morning, by the way. This is like when I get the most downloads. I'm like 4 a.m. to like 8 a.m. I'm just sitting at my computer, like channeling all of these different scenes. And I'm going to piece it together. But now like the arc of the character, like the arc of the story is going to be like 6 to 9 books, which anyway, we're figuring it out. But, I think I might be releasing like a couple of scenes or snippets every Friday on my Substack. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely subscribe to my Substack. But hi, Heather. But that's really exciting. So I'm digressing and my brain's kind of like losing it again because I am up way later. Like I'm technically so tired, but I miss being live and I love talking with y'all. And again, it's a full moon. But my point is this. It's interesting to me personally how my whole life I've just wanted to be this artist, like actor, dancer, singer, movies, film, television, theater, whatever. and then getting these psychic powers, which was not of my own volition of choosing. I did not want this life. Although now that I have superpowers, I wouldn't trade it for the world. But after everything has been said and done, it was like, you know, I really wanted to be a superhero, a Marvel superhero. And like one of the downloads I got was, we didn't want you to pretend to be a superhero like in a movie. We wanted you to be a superhero in real life. That's kind of crazy and amazing all in the same time, because I mean, there are very, 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 very few people that I know who wield superpowers in the way that, like, I'm starting to, right? So, cool. I'm going to turn it into a fantasy book, Pen. So then you all can read along, right? Romantasy. Yes, there's like a fated mates love story, maybe enemies to lovers, definitely a lot of political intrigue, different timelines, etc. I'm very excited. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Final thoughts. Hold on. I think you also have to remember that with love, all right? Because Venus just went direct. So with love, right? Love is no longer a sacrifice. I think that happens a lot, especially with women, but it's like, you don't have to sacrifice yourself for love. Hi, Noah. Hi, Jack. Secret Power Club sign up now to join if you got him. Yes, Jack. So how do you do that? Like, you have to understand that it's reciprocity. You have to understand that, like, real love, true love, fated mates, right? It is about two wholes coming together and really honoring each other and complimenting each other in a very harmonious and balanced way. It's about the unconditional love. It's about having each other's backs. And like, you know, I personally believe that that kind of love is very sacred. And it requires you to understand you to know your full worth. And it requires you to understand how valuable you are, because you can't settle for less if you want more. That always breeds disappointment at the end, right? So you also have to be able to receive as much as you give. That's another thing too, right? With this dynamic, and then with what Venus is teaching us. So like, what did you learn from the past 40 days about love and what love means to you? I mean, like, I love my hairpin, but I also like love my dog still. And those are two very different types of loves. Like, if I lost this, oh well, I think it's already chipped. Yeah, it's already chipped. I still love it, but like, if I didn't have this tomorrow, would I be upset? No. You know what I mean? So there's different degrees and there's different frequencies. And I think that when you start to tune into the frequency of the realm that you want to live in, that's when shit starts to really fucking change. That's when you start to go, oh my God, I don't have to hustle so much to get what I want. Oh my God, I don't have to use my mind to muscle through it to get what I want. Oh my God, I don't have to subscribe to the notion that I have to suffer in order to get everything that I want. These are just the lies, the cages that they taught you to love. Trying to do the puzzle thing. Okay, bless. Yeah, it's been a rough 40 days. I know, Heather, me too, right? I've never, like, I will say, and I will confess that the hardest part for me, in total honesty, was not having any friend or any person who was going through what I was going through that I could talk to about it. Because there were so many nights. There were nights when the wind was so cold. Okay, anyway, but there are so many nights when I was crying myself to sleep, when I was so frustrated, felt so alone, felt so just like I don't know what more I can do. And it was so funny because I finally got like an energy soul reading done. Sing more, okay. Because I just needed, I was like, am I fucked up? What did I do wrong? Like, why am I not feeling better? I've been in this liminal space between who I was and who I'm supposed to become, like for months now, and I can't take it anymore. And I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to like, because it's just in between, like the who I'm becoming. It's like not there yet. It's not there. I'm still like, I'm getting there. And, the girl, she was lovely. She wrote everything down in a PDF. And one of the key points that she reminded me of, well, the first thing was, she was like, you've done nothing wrong. You are not failing. You are not behind. And I was like crying just by reading that, because I thought that I wasn't doing enough, that I didn't do something right, because otherwise wouldn't I get what I want, right? That's unfortunately divine timing for you, going against your free will, but that's a whole other conversation we can have at another point in time. But she's like, you're just going through a very, very massive spiritual death and rebirth. And I was like, oh. I was like, I knew that. Like, I was like, why? And I was like, well, motherfucker. And, because I had like, we were writing back and forth before she tuned in, and she was like, and I really appreciated this, but she was like, I don't think you even realize how well you're going through it, and how much courage and grace that you have as you're going through this rebirth, And it kind of took me aback, because I was like, I don't feel like I'm courageous, and I don't feel like I'm being graceful about it. But I guess it is, because, you have to confront the deepest part of your shadows in order to come out and see the light. Like one of the things that I had been channeling from one of my main guides at this point, but she was reminding me that, like, the shadows are not evil. The dark is not the devil. And I need to, hold on. This is so good. I don't know why I haven't memorized at this point. Because it's so profound. And I think, again, like, people run away from the dark, and they're like, dark is bad, dark is evil. And it's like, no, if you don't have the dark, you can't see the goddamn stars. So chill the fuck out. Hold on. Oh, and you want to know something crazy? Actually, let me get the line first, and then I'm trying not to be so ADHD about everything. All right. It was okay. All right. Little preview. All right. So my guide was like, greed will always make them crave power in any form that they can get. That is why we need you, my dear. Okay, just reading. And I was like, to do what? Like, what? What do you want me to do? And then they were like, to rid the realms of that evil. Like I said, terrifying, but thrilling at the same time, because wouldn't we all love to live in a greed-free world where people aren't just like greedy all the time? It would be so nice. So they go on to say, shadow is not evil, the dark is not the devil, and demons are not the enemy. It's so choice. It's those who cannot resist the corruption and the craving of power over others. That's what is evil. That's what we have to change. That's what we have to open our eyes to and understand, because even in the love and light realm, there's a lot of that greed. There's a lot of that corruption, and there's still a lot of that craving for power that doesn't need to be there, you know? And so here's what's really funny. So while I was sick as a dog, and that's when I got the thing, I was literally just writing. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh, I have a download. So let me get my pen out. And I started writing. So I was standing there going like this. And then like my nose started bleeding out of nowhere. Like, I don't even know when that happened. And one perfect drop like that. And I was like, well, that's a sign. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. So then what was interesting was it bled through the page. And what was so crazy is that the bleed through was literally on that line right there that I just read to you about shadow is not the evil and the devil, the dark is not the devil and the demons are not the enemy. But what's even funnier and crazier was on the other page where you have that little dot here. It says, stay out of the matrix, do what works best for me. I don't know how much more divinely profound blood magic, that's a whole other thing that we can get into in some other point in time. But like, I don't know how much more of a physical message coming from my freaking blood that I needed a reminder of, you know? And I think it's like, like, I'll read you just a little bit of this other thing that I was channeling from my guide. So, and then you can, you know, just take what resonates and leave the rest. This was very personal for me. And I'm glad, Jack, you understand. So I was like, you know, I was getting really frustrated. And so I was writing, if you're not going to help me, then fuck off. Because again, you know, Fire Moon unite, like we need to have a Fire Moon club. Anyway, then my guides come back and they go, now you see why we don't play by their rules. The dark is safe. The dark is expansive. The dark is, and then I realized it, the dark is home. Think about the womb. Think about when you were born, when you're being birthed, when you're becoming like a fetus, you're in the dark. You are born in the dark, right? So why is the dark bad? So anyway, then they go, get comfortable here, for it is where you will find your answers. They will be illuminated for you and then I realized it, like the stars in the sky. That's why astrology always resonated with me, because it was like at least a language that could make sense out of the fucking shit show that we call life, right? Like, why am I so crazy? Why am I why do I act this way? Why is it that this person doesn't like me? Well, what, you know what I mean? And then you start like looking at the astrology. Oh, well, that really makes more sense. Or, oh my God, that transit. Oh my God, well, that's the reason why. And then it makes me feel just like less of a lunatic, to be honest with you, because sometimes I'm just like, is someone as crazy as me? I don't know. Maybe not. And then they go, exactly. And then they said, you are our bright little star, lighting the way for people to find their way home to the new earth. It's like you are their true North Star. It shines brightly, but it doesn't beg, force, or push people to come to it. It doesn't scream. It just glows. The right people, the chosen ones, will see it and discover it or discover me and will follow it because it's their calling too. And I think I really like that because it's like, again, why are we chasing after the likes? Why are we chasing after the money? Why are we chasing after what it is that we want, right? Whereas it's like, if you know, going back to this full moon in Libra and like releasing all the things that you want, again, with Venus going retrograde and all of these kind of like, you know, stars in the sky doing their fucking thing, like with Chiron. Again, I fucking hate Chiron. I have a love-hate relationship with that asteroid. But when we are ready to release that old paradigm and we just show up in the frequency of us, isn't that when the magic happens? Isn't that when the craziest downloads come? Isn't that when we get those like ahas, those ideas, that like surprise thing? And isn't that when it just all clicks into place? So then why do we have to prove ourselves? Why do we have to? Like I think it's going to be a spoiler. I was watching a reality TV show. I won't say which one so that hopefully it won't be spoilers. But it was funny because out of all the people who were playing, it was the quiet one who won. And I found that really interesting and telling because their game was so smart, right? And they were a really good person too. Finally, a good person actually winning, right? So when you sit there and you're looking at things, do you have to like shout it from the rooftops and be everywhere all at once and like da 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 da? Do you? I don't know. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe you can just show up as you and like you just have every single ounce of knowing. It's not even just faith. It's like you just have 100% certainty. You just know it. It's just like knowing your name. It's just like you knowing that you're watching a live stream right now, okay? You just know that the right people are going to find it, that the right people are going to see it, that it's going to get across. In your reality, that's what happens, right? And then that's when all of the law of assumption girlies and the Delulu girlies will tell you, yeah, you create your own reality. Everyone is you pushed out. You can get whatever you want. It's just up to you as to believe that it's going to happen, you know, and then that's it, right? So, Jack, what? I don't understand that. I don't understand. So I think the thing that I'm just trying to say and to remember is just like, choose presence over productivity. I never thought that I would say that, but it's like, choose presence over productivity. Choose to rest so that you can receive. There's a whole list of these. And also, you can choose to rage. Anger, use your anger to alchemize. I think that's one of the other biggest lessons too, is that you don't have to just sit there and be quiet little Bo Peep, just a twinkling little star in the sky in order to get what you want. The sun is also a star, and that shit burns motherfucking bright and burns our skin. Who else has been stocking up on sunscreen, okay? Since the tariffs are going to go up. The sun is literally one of the biggest stars in our Milky Way. So, like, you can burn bright. Like, you don't have to be a tiny star. You could be a big star. But, like, the sun doesn't apologize for burning your skin. The sun's like, not my problem. Go get more sunscreen, right? Like, the sun isn't dimming itself because you're upset at it for shining too bright, for being too hot. Think about that for just a second. So why can't you shine like the sun? Right? Heather, that is a great question. How do you learn to alchemize? I have always been a self-taught person, so I have just been able to alchemize naturally. But I would say if I could break it down for you very simply, I would call it transmutation, okay? And that's kind of how you turn one thing into another thing. So, for example, like water has 3 different forms, right? It can be frozen like ice. It can be at like a sub temperature. It can be liquid, right? At room temperature. And then it can become steam or vapor if it gets really hot. So what actually makes water go through these different alchemized states? It is heat or cold. It's temperature. So you would be the refrigerator or the fire, right? And if we take what I was saying about anger, right? Because again, if you have a fire moon, AKA if your moon is in Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, hey, welcome to the club. Like when I get mad, I get feral. I see red. I don't care. I'm like pissed, right? Like when I'm on my cycle, it is the worst time to try and tease me or try and like sass me or try and do something to me, because I will give 0 fucks and I will tell you exactly what the fuck I will think. And y'all have seen that on several of my lives when I've just been like, do you want kind and loving or blunt and honest? Because I really don't have a fucking, like, I will just tell you how it is, right? And so when you are using your anger to alchemize, right? Because you can do 2 things with anger. You can project it and you'll usually burn yourself and burn others, or you can alchemize it, aka transmute it into a solution that's going to get you what you want. So, for example, if you are super pissed that someone betrayed you, for example, and you're really angry about it, instead of just screaming at the person, you can alchemize it into something else. So you can take that anger and you can be like, you know what, from here on out, I'm doing a burning ceremony and I am no longer allowing people to step over my boundaries, right? So now you're transmuting the energy instead of like being like, you know, whatever to that person. You're fortifying your boundaries. You revoke access. You say you are no longer subscribed to my fucking life and my fucking energy. I'm taking all of my motherfucking power back. I'm taking all of my motherfucking energy back, and you can't do a damn motherfucking thing about it. And if you want to fucking call me, great. Your phone number is blocked. Like I am like, you know, like I am unsubscribing, unfollowing you from all my things. I don't want you in my life. I don't care about you in my life, and I don't need you in my fucking life. So thank you for showing me who you are. There's the motherfucking door. Don't even think about coming back. And they always will come back because you were their source of power. And when you take that away from them, all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, how are you? Oh, you're not feeling good. Oh my God, I'm sending so much love. Oh no, like another family member passed. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sending my sympathies. And you're just like, too little, too late, bitch. The only reason why you're doing this now is because I took away your energy source and you're trying to get it the fuck back. Period. End of story. You don't have to say any of this to their face, but you can take that anger, and when you do that, that is alchemizing it. Because then all of a sudden what you did was you took this anger from someone trying to take your power away, and you were able to then reclaim your power and become stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger by Kelly Clarkson. Like, let's go, right? That is alchemizing your energy. And then if you wanted to take it a step further, you write a song about it, you paint something about it, you do a video about it, without calling that person out, but like, hey, this is something that I learned today. Things that I learned today. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Watch out for this, watch out for this, watch out for this. These are red flags. Here's how you turn them into green flags. Right? You start making content, and then that content pays you money. Or you do a witchy spell and you say, every time this person says my name, more money rolls into my bank account. Every single time that this person tries to curse me, more money falls into my bank account. Every time this person tries to blah, 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 blah me, more good fortune comes into my life. That's alchemy. Does that make sense? Did I answer the question? Hopefully that was enough examples. Any other questions? Thank you for the rose. You're welcome. Okay. I'm going to wrap this up because I think, I will say this. We are in this really, really, really cool point in history. Okay. Like, we're about to have another revolution. Spiritually, this is the last reset. Technically, if it gets reset again, we will no longer cease to exist. But that's a whole other topic for another podcast episode. But this is the final purge. Okay. For those of you who believe that you are one of the chosen ones, one of my visionary superstars, you know what I mean? Light workers, knowing deep within your soul that you are meant to build the new earth with me, okay? This is the final purge. That's kind of exciting because I don't want to do this anymore. So exhausting. So exhausting. But this is the final purge. So I genuinely encourage you to do whatever you need to do to finally like close the door to all of that shit that you do not want to subscribe to anymore in your life, so that you can start building the realm that you were born to build. You can still get your happily ever after. You can still create the life that you've wanted to live. No matter your circumstance, no matter your station, no matter your race, creed, color, gender, sexual orientation, no matter where you are in the world watching this, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching the replay, the transmission is still the same. Like, I'm so excited for this podcast that I'm finally now that I finally found a name that wasn't taken. I didn't even realize how many podcasts there were out there. Did you know that someone actually has one that says Align with Alicia? And that's like literally the title of my Substack. And I was like, who is this blonde bitch? Like, what is this? I'm sure she's a lovely person, but I was like, what the hell? So it took me a long time to actually find a name that I actually liked. And then being able to structure it so that I could, provide you with what I wanted. And again, talking about that clarity finally coming through. Thank the fucking stars. So it's like, you'll be getting like daily transmissions again from me, and daily-ish. Okay. Where I can just start talking and sharing and channeling and, giving you these key codes so you can step through more portals, so that you can send a little bit faster, so that you can jump these timelines, and so that you can really start writing your story, writing your new narrative, right? That's why so many, I saw several, it was odd, several spiritual thought leaders, I'll just put them that way. But anyway, spiritual coaches who are using the artist's way, which is like I learned about this a long time ago from acting, but in order to open up your creativity, open up your creation, because we are creators by nature. Allie, hi! Thank you for the roses, Jeremy. Oh my God, where can we hear the podcast? I'm going to start it on Substack, but then, obviously put it on Spotify, Apple, etc. But I'm so excited. I've just been step by step planning it out. But hold on, let me see if I can give you a little bit of a teaser, because I was writing some stuff for it today. So much stuff. But that's what you need to do. Hold on. Okay. So I'll give you my tagline, because I'm not releasing the name yet for people, because I don't want someone else to take it. But I just want to tell you that no matter what my podcast is called, the tagline is going to be, this is not a podcast. This is a portal to your HEA, aka your happily ever after. So this is going to be a portal for those who are breaking free from the cages that they were told and taught to love. This is for the people who, you know, and you know me, I'm going to be telling stories. I'm going to be riffing. I'm going to be talking about things. I might be jumping back and forth, like, but there's going to be cosmic key codes. There's going to be wisdom, like, you know, wisdom drops and golden nuggets and like other channeled messages that come through. I might pull cards during one of them. Who knows, right? It's just what I'm being led to channel for you and to wrap it up in a fantastical fairy tale, because we are here to innovate something new. And if it's something new, then it's something that's never been seen. If it's something that's never been seen or created, then it has to be from this like mythical, you know, fantastical point of view, right? It has to be something that stretches your imagination, that allows you to have this vision, that gets you to start seeing again, beyond the scope of the 3D world of this desecration that we have now, right? Like you want to start looking and enjoying and be like, oh my God, yes, that, oh my God, yes, that, oh, when she was talking about that fiery dragon, like I suddenly got a download of X, Y, and Z. I don't fucking know. Like, you know what I mean? You're on your own journey too. And then for those of you who are wanting more, right, I'll be, right, you know, reading a couple excerpts from my fantasy book series, which I'm really excited about, et cetera, et cetera. So every podcast episode will start with one of my coined phrases, which I have, to start telling stories with. And it's just because what I want to create within these episodes, which again, some could be 20 minutes and some could be 2 hours long. Like it'll just be what it'll be. And you can just listen to it while you're doing laundry or taking a long scenic drive or just, you know, falling asleep to it. It's fine. You'll get what you need to get from it when you need to get it. Right. But it's about creating a realm. It's about creating a new reality. It's about creating this real life space where we can finally come together and like live in harmony, live in peace, right? So yeah, exactly. Like listening while you're doing homework. That's perfect, right? I would love to do this. Good, Tabitha. Like then you can, if you want to be one of the first to like listen in, then do click on my Stan Store link that's in my profile and subscribe to my newsletter. It's free. And then also subscribe to my Substack, because that's when I'm going to start putting them out. It is going to be in video form too. So then I'll also post it on YouTube, and then also on Substack. But I'm just kind of really excited about this new formula because, and when I say formula, because if you have also been pretending to fit in by doing the things that they're telling you to do, then I think you'll really like it, because the transmissions, that's the weirdest word, but it's like the transmissions. It's like the downloads that I've been getting and the conversations that I've been having with my guides has been wild. Like, oh, you're welcome, Allie. I love the idea that you want to share your wisdom with us. Yeah, but not just in a format that's more storytelling and that's more fun for me, because I could do tons of PDFs and bullet points and blah, blah, blahs. But I think that when I speak from the heart, even in my bumblings, people stay on for 2 hours. So, you know, I just think it's a lot more raw and honest. That's just my personal opinion. Substack, yes, it's another social media app. It's completely free to sign up. But you can just take a look at it. It's, again, in my profile. It's going beyond. I like it a lot. Yay! I'm so excited. Allie, we'll have to definitely catch up too, because I have, like, I don't know if you want to help me with the artwork, but like I'm really, really excited. So I'll just say this also. I was like, I believe that fairy tales are frequency maps, that words are weapons for awakening, and pretty things can still start revolutions. And so that's kind of like the vibe. So it's like each one is like just a sacred little portal that you can enter into. And like, I'll be honest, sometimes it might be full of rage and I might be screaming at the top of my lungs, cursing like a sailor. But I will always tell you at the beginning of episodes, or at least in the descriptions, any trigger warnings. And, you know, if you need, most likely I will always say, put on your headphones if you've got little ones running around, or if you're around a lot of muggles that you don't want to have hearing what you're hearing from me. That way it can mitigate a lot of that. But I will try to put trigger warnings if I'm talking about very sensitive subjects, like abuse or, you know, whatever, whatnot, just so that people are aware. Or if I'm doing spoilers for a show that you like haven't watched yet, etc. You know, like, for example, I'll tell you one for me right now, which is why like I've just been so infuriated. But I'm like, so I really started watching The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime, and because, you know, season 3 released a little while ago, and I hated it so much. Like, and I wanted to read the books, right? Because there's like it's a 9-book series, and it's like, you know, the world building is phenomenal. Okay. The world building of The Wheel of Time is absolutely incredible. Like, how the author came up with the name Aes Sedai for like the group of women who can channel and do these powers. I mean, it's fucking, I want to be part of the Aes Sedai. Okay. But my question is, and again, sorry, spoilers for anyone. So spoilers, if you want to just not listen right now. But why does the Chosen One, the Dragon Reborn, why isn't a guy? I'm like, I mean, granted, the author's a male, but I'm like, out of all of the characters in this massive epic tale, are like, most of the ones that are badasses and fighting for good, they're all women. Like, it really, really confused me. Like, it boggled my mind. And I'm like, why? Why is it still the guy? And then he just like is a wet noodle. And I was just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I want to rewrite this. I want to write some fanfic. I want to be like, okay, I feel like if it was rewritten this way, then I would be like, okay, cool. I would have the Dragon Reborn be this character. I would have her go and do this. And then I would have the Dragon Reborn guy support her by doing this. Like, that's how that should go. Like, I don't understand this whole other thing. Like, and it's sort of like the same thing with Shadow and Bone, if you saw that series, right? Love the first season. I'm obsessed with, thank you so much for subscribing, Tabitha. I love the first season of Shadow and Bone. I was so obsessed with it. It was so well done. And then Shadow 2 came out, and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, and then at the end, and I'm sorry if this is spoilers, but again, it's based off of fantasy books, so if you want to go read the books, right? But it's like, which again, like, I think Six of Crows is amazing. But why does she choose the guy who gaslights her for using her powers and for being too powerful? And she doesn't choose the one who was like, let me liberate you. You can be everything that you want to be in your full divine form. That's not fated mates. What are you talking about, right? Like, there needs to be a rewrite, because that is just the dumbest decision ever. Why would you then settle and dim your light for this fucking dude? Are you fucking kidding me? It needs to be a whole rewrite. Like, it would have been different if Mal's powers had, like, obviously made him as much of a, like, a rival or a contestant to, what's his nuts? But, you know, I didn't write it. I know. Thank you so much for subscribing, Tabitha. I love you. Love is Blind as a theme. I don't think so. I don't think that the theme was Love is Blind. I think the theme is, you know, females need to be in their place. They are taught. We are taught to settle for less than what we deserve. Look at the patriarchal history of that. Right? So, like, that's why I loved Wheel of Time. But then again, like I said, if anybody has watched that, even just watch the show regardless of read the books, okay? all of the people who are fighting this war for good are all women. They're the ones at the front line. They're the ones that are making moves. They're the ones that have the most power. They're the ones that are like strategic. And yet the Dragon Reborn is a man to save the realm. This makes no fucking sense to me. He doesn't even have any extra superpowers. Like, it just is insane. And like, it was funny because, not that I was choosing to, but I was watching a clip of Good Morning America this morning from today's news. And this morning they were talking about, and I don't remember the name, but there was like a podcast, which was really cool, about these guys, or this doctor, this therapist, who was like, it was all about discussing fantasy books or movies and TV shows as therapy, and how you can identify with the characters and look at the arcs to be able to help heal some of your trauma. Now, obviously, you can't do that with everything in therapy, and there's a lot of other steps, right? Just like doing shadow work. But I think that's the beauty of art. I think that's the beauty of storytelling. Because again, when you're listening to me for 2 hours talking straight, there's something about what I'm saying that's resonating with your soul. There's something about what I am putting down, whether it's my energy, whether it's the way that I look, whether it's the way I talk, whether it's like what I'm actually talking about, that you're like, oh, I want to be that girl, or I want to be her friend. Yeah, I want to hang out with her. Yeah, these are the things that I want to talk about. Yeah, I know, I think the same way too. Yeah, I wish that I could do the things that you're talking about. Yeah, that's kind of where I want to go. And that's why you stay. And so if you do, then you're like, okay, this is my person. I want to subscribe to them. And then you slowly start to find others like that too. I'm not saying that I'm the be all and end all, but I'm just saying that, like, you know, if you are here for more than like 15 minutes, then yeah, right? We're part of the same soul pod, right? Exactly. Like Arcane, you know what I mean? Like, you can find them even from like Family Guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be dark fantasy things. Like, I'm currently watching Rings of Power. But like, I'll be honest, like when I watched the first season of Wheel of Time, I got so many downloads, and I realized how similar I was to Moraine than I had realized. And Moraine is the main person, whatever, girl, woman. Anyway, Aes Sedai. So it was interesting to watch her journey. It was interesting to see her powers. It was interesting to see like how she dealt with things. And I was like, yeah, that reminds me of this. Yeah, that reminds me of that. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, okay. And it's like click, 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 click. Right. And then you just start shifting and you start moving, you know, and it comes in waves. Again, we're in the year of the snakes. You're going to be shedding your skin, right? We're in a 9 year. You're culminating. You're like wrapping this shit up. Right? You're being like, all right, we're done with this party. I'm no longer doing that. I'm no longer subscribing to that. I'm no longer staying in that cage. That's what this is all about. It's the final purge. The final countdown. Any TV show might have messages for us to learn. If I do not resonate with the show, it's a no-go. Yeah. Like, I also read a lot of fantasy books on my Kindle. And I have to say, there are quite a few books that I've DNF'd, did not finish, because I was just like, that's just poor writing. That's just really bad. That's just like, what the hell? Like, the Golden Cage thing came about because I had just finished reading Guild by Raven Kennedy. Now, I'll say Guild was a 4.5-star read for me. I did feel like it was like, I binged it in 2 days because I just needed to know what happened next. But it lacked a bit of emotional depth, and it lacked a little bit of like some character development in like certain spots and stuff. But I was like, oh, maybe it'll get better in book 2. But unfortunately, I went down the Reddit hole, and like for a 6-book series, it's like really fell off. Like, it should have been just a trilogy, and then 4, 5, and 6 people really had a problem with. And then when I was reading kind of like how it ended, because that's just how I am, hashtag don't fucking come at me. But it was interesting because I was like, oh, that's a disappointment, because I'm really all about having a good character arc and having characters learn something. And I want to learn something from the book. But what I thought was fascinating was her being in a gilded cage, and like, you know, as nice of a cage as it is, as she has all of these amenities in abundance, it's still a fucking cage. And that's what we're in right now, right? They want you to live in fear. They want you to be afraid and worried and like anxious and feeling more scarcity and lack than ever before, because that's really more so the only way that the majority of the population is going to wake up and be like, this isn't right, I don't want to do this anymore, and then that's when we finally have a revolution. But because of the few spiritual awakened ones, like there's so little of us that it does take this massive awakening, right, of being like, you know, like, because if all the people realize that we severely outnumber the billionaires and millionaires on this planet, it would be like so easy to take them down, right? Like, that's math. Make the math, that's math. But it has to be that those millions and billions of people wake up and be like, yeah, you can't treat us like that. This is not fair. This is not right. This is not just. And like, you know, people were like, well, life's not fair. And I'm like, well, I don't want to live in a world where life's not fair. I don't want to live in this kind of world where like I always get the short end of the stick. Fuck that. I'm so fucking over it. I'm so over it. You know what I mean? So I have a theory. What if we are 2 billion people strong? We could be. Allie, to be better, and how we can also change to be better every day. Absolutely. I like the characters that have character development that make us resonate to them, but that they learn from the start. Yeah. Like I personally like characters who have grit. Like it's very Southern phrase, like, you know, like Southern girls have grit and grace. But I like that because I think that there is required a certain level of grit to confront the I don't want to say it's wisdom, but the knowledge. I'll say knowledge, okay? Thank you so much. The knowledge that has been passed down from generation to generation in your cells, okay? If there's a movie that you want to watch to kind of like open your brain a little bit and sort of like comprehend a little bit of this on like a fun movie level, Lucy, starring Scarlett Johansson and Morgan Freeman, is back on Netflix, okay? So if you have Netflix, you can watch it for free. I rewatched the movie because I was just like, I liked, it's not the best movie, but it's a good movie and it's action-packed. But spiritually, the movie, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So for those of you who don't know what it's about, basically Scarlett Johansson is just this regular girl, college girl, traveling in China, Hong Kong, whatever. And she ends up becoming a drug mule, and the drug ends up making her have the ability to use 100% of her brain, right? And Morgan Freeman is a scientist or, you know, theoreticist who was like kind of theorizing, well, if humans are only using 10% of their brain, what would happen if they used 20%, 30%, 50%, 100% of our brains? What would that actually look like, right? And again, there, like, it go, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't, like, this is not like a Pulitzer Prize winning movie, but it is good and it is entertaining and it is, you know, and it's interesting. And there's some profound moments in there and some golden nuggets where you think like, wow, okay, if I stopped acting so small, if I actually tapped into my powers, because if you're watching right now, most likely you have tapped into some sort of your psychic abilities or, you know, superpowers beyond the realm of just a regular human, right? Yeah, Jack, definitely check it out. Yeah, everything is in the mind. So it's perspective. And so if you can be like, okay, like I am just gonna, you know, watch it. There were so many cool things that I realized, and I was just like, it really like made me have another shift in perspective on like, okay, so what if this whole entire purge and like all of the shit that I've been going through for the past 6 months or so, what if this was all to help me utilize a larger percentage of my brain, of my mind? How cool would that be? because then if I'm accessing things, and then, oh, also the TV show Heroes. Oh my God, this was my favorite show when it first came out. I literally watched every single episode the week it came out. It's on Amazon Prime Video. And so I was rewatching episodes from it because they all have these superpowers, right? And it's kind of like, yeah, if you were able to stop time or like manipulate time like Hiro Nakamura, or if you were able to fully regenerate like Claire, if you were able to, I mean, honestly, Milo Ventimiglia's powers were my favorite because basically he could absorb anybody's power and then use it as his own. Like that next to Jean Grey, those two are, you know, top tier to me, right? Have a wonderful night, Allie. Yeah, email me. Let's maybe email me and maybe we can like set up a time to like catch up or something. I would love to hang like, you know, hear how you're doing and all of that. But I love you so much. Do you mean the I am everything and nothing at the same time everywhere? I'm everything everywhere all at once. No, it's different, actually. I love Everything Everywhere All at Once. I love that movie. But Hiro Nakamura can like time travel and portal himself places. So it's different. But when you go back and forth in time, you fuck up different timelines. You see what I'm saying? So it is something to take into responsibility. So that's also something that's really fascinating to think about. Like, what would you want as a superpower? What would you want to have access to, right? Like, it was fascinating. Like, my mom was talking to me about, you know, okay, gosh, fuck it. My mom was talking to me about one of my cousins, and I'm not going to say which one. It doesn't really matter because y'all don't know. But anyway, in case they decide to watch this. And, you know, she was like, well, what's going to be their outcome? Because, you know, obviously my mom knows that I have these superpowers and stuff. And honestly, it was just like a little like ding. And like, I saw it and I could see the future of my cousin. And I was like, oh, well, they're going to get what's coming to them before they die. I'll tell you that. It's not going to be pretty. It is what it is. They dug their own grave, so now they have to lie in it, right? You gotta lie in the... So, that's it. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, sure, are there other timelines where that doesn't happen? Sure. But at the rate that they're going, that's what's gonna happen. And I just see it. And to, like, for as much as I've been channeling now, and how I tap into different timelines, and I don't need to go down elevators to get to the Akashic Records or whatever you want to talk about, I think that is what is now second nature to me. Again, part of some of my superpowers is like being able to see people's fates and destinies. And it's wild, you know what I mean? Because there are some really, really good people on this planet. There's some amazing people on this planet. But there's also some not so nice people on this planet. So there's that. Okay. Secret Library. What's the most exciting future glimpse you've ever had? Oh my God. That's a really, really good question. Thank you for the rose, Heather. I'm so curious about the Akashic Records. They're really cool. They're really fun to... If you like libraries, you'll love the Akashic Records. Like, I think people who love libraries would hang out there all day just, like, reading all of their past lives, future lives. Like, other people, like, it's like, really, really fun. I don't know if I actually have an answer for you because I don't necessarily dabble a lot with future timelines just because I've always just wanted to create what I wanted. But I will say that because my mission has changed and my purpose has been illuminated, and I don't want to say my mission has changed, but like now that the veil is off and I'm able to truly see my full self and what I was bred to do, because I'm different from most people, like I thought that I was a star seed, but I'm not. I'm something else. Anyway, I'll talk about that later. But my point is that I think my most exciting ones are my future glimpses of the new earth. Because right now, right, the old earth and new earth are splitting like this, right? And I would have to say that, like, seeing how it's set up, seeing how people are living in harmony, seeing how everyone is provided for, like you have housing, food, education, medical, like all taken care of. There's no fight for power. Like everyone is actually very much respected from like the people who are like leading, but they're not leading. Okay. Like, anyway, governing, I guess. And then like the people who are like cleaning or cooking, it's the same. Like they're literally still all respected, fully the same. Like the people who are leading are not the ones who have all the power. Does that make any sense? Like it is all very equal, very balanced, very harmonious. There's lots of laughter. There's lots of fun. There's lots of celebration. And like, I think one of the visions that I saw that was like really just touching was like someone got like, whether they got broken up with or like the person didn't love them anymore. And then they were just like, just really sad and heartbroken. Like it was so crazy how like this whole, they were all like surrounded by this, like all of these other members and like, or just people, and just like envelop them in like this energy of pure healing love and just helping them heal, helping them grieve, helping them purge out this emotion from their bodies so that they could ascend and evolve in just such a loving and nurturing and gentle way that it was just such a quick process that they could move on a lot faster. And that was something that I just really liked seeing instead of this whole like what we have now. You know what I'm saying? And then they can go and find someone else, to be with. That's a better match for them, perhaps. Who, you know what I mean? Anyway. Okay. Yeah, okay. Hold on, let's see. Thank you for the rose, Heather. I would love a library like that, but do you need a special born ability to access the Akashic? I don't want to say you necessarily have to have a special ability. You do need to be psychic, and you need to be able to know how to utilize those your psychic ability, like know how to like see through your third eye. There are people who teach like guided meditations to go in. I think I actually made one. I'll have to pull it out of my files. Because I think I remember making one for my membership group a long time ago. But you can do it that way. But I just naturally like just go, okay, what do I want to see? And then I just do it. So I don't know, it's a little different. But you can kind of learn how to do it. But yeah, like you need to practice a little bit with your psychic powers. Okay, thank goodness that's the future. Things feel so grim in America right now. Yeah, well, so here's the thing. It's like it's pulling apart. So again, there's going to be people who are going to be able to go to the new earth and be like the trailblazers and create that. And then there are going to be people who are going to stay stuck here in the matrix, in the grim. And unfortunately, the people who are going to be stuck here are going to be stuck there. Like, that's why it's really funny because I don't remember if y'all remember me talking about this, but I had a love and light person who was like, divine feminine this and like flow and blah, blah, blah. Like literally write me an email. That's why I always keep receipts of like literally calling me like saying that I was like Trump and I was a cult leader and that I'm doing all this terrible stuff. And then meanwhile still wanted shit from me. And I was like, no, that's not how that works. Like, you don't get to gaslight me and tell me that like, I'm trying to like fucking, I don't know, like brainwash people or something. And then meanwhile, she's like, well, I'm staying in the matrix and I'm helping the people who are here who can't help themselves. And I'm like, okay, great. That's fine. I never wrote her back, but the reality of the situation is she just shit the bed because now she has no... You can't teach people how to get to the new earth if you have not been able to get out of the matrix and be in the new earth. Like, do you understand? That's being like, oh, I know how to get to Disneyland, and you don't have a GPS and you've never been to Disneyland before. Tell me how you're going to fucking get there. Please. Please. You can't. You just can't. You're not vibrationally a match. You won't be able to figure out where the door is, babe. It's just not, it doesn't work that way. Like, I don't know how else to explain it to you, but it's just not. So now she seals her fate. All of the abundance that she wanted is gone, and she's gonna suffer in the Matrix, in the old earth, like she wants. That's not my problem to fix. So, yeah, that's a whole other barrel of monkeys that I'm just like, no, thank you. What do you think about the Black Book Psychic Witch? Do you know it? No, I don't know that. What is that? I don't know what that book is, Heather. Jack, ego is a no-go place and our struggle is real. Can bite you like a snake, and yeah. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't think that people understand that it's okay to defy. 'Cause you and I defying gravity, right? Like, let's have a wicked moment. You know what I'm saying? Let's defy, defend, depose. Like, it's not bad to be angry about the state of the world right now. Anger is a much higher vibration than fear. And if you don't believe me, go look up the vibrational scale. Google it. Like, literally, fear is down here, anger is here, then peace and love is up here. So, like, anger, you can get from anger to love. Like, you gotta, like, kind of, like, wiggle your way up, and it takes, like, a hot second to, like, you know, kind of inch your way up there, but, like, you can kind of more quickly go from anger to peace and love than you can from fear to love. Like, people in fear cannot entertain the idea of peace, love, and harmony at all, because all they are in is fight or flight mode. Period. End of story. Right? Yeah, exactly. Especially justified anger. Absolutely, Crystal. Oh, well, Heather, if you haven't gotten past the first few pages, then it's not right for you. I'll just say that. Like, I have understood very quickly, when your soul knows, it will soak it up like a sponge. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I tried to open the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which, love the book, but I could not get through 2 pages of it without just being like, I don't even know what the fuck I just read. I'm just going to put the book down. I have had that book for like years, and it wasn't until I think last year that I finally was like, oh, I think I'm finally going to want to read it. And then all of a sudden, like, I binged it in like 2 days. And I was like, oh, like, your soul if there's one other truth from my reading that I want to share with you, and I do think that this is universally true for everyone, but it was especially true for me, that really helped me, and it's like my one anchoring belief and truth now, which is that your soul knows the way forward. Your soul actually knows what to do. If you just fucking took the goddamn time to shut off the fucking rat race of shit show of like madness of screaming, you know, that your mind's doing, because, and it's valid, right? Like, the world is going to shit. It's valid. It's valid to be afraid. It's valid to be scared as fuck, okay? Like, I'm not saying, oh, just be fine, okay? Like, take precautionary measures. I already stocked up on shit back in November. And now the news is like, oh my God, this is tariffs. Like, you should be stocking up. It's really funny too, because actually yesterday they were like, oh, you really should not, like, don't stock up. You shouldn't waste your money, blah, 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 blah. And then today it was, oh, you should probably do that because things are going to get wildly expensive now. I'm like, let me just trust myself, all right? I already got what I needed, you know? Only I command me. I'm open-minded. Love that. Yeah, I feel it. I let go and went with the energy flow. Yeah, and like it was fine, you know? So it's like, you don't have to subscribe to someone else's story. You don't have to subscribe to my story either. But obviously, if you're still watching, then yeah, subscribe to my story. Let's write a better one than the one that we're living in, and you find your way out. Because I know where the door is now, like to the new earth. I know where the doors are. There are several. And I know the portals to go through. I have exited out of the matrix. I have stepped into that frequency and I feel it and then I see it and then they show me and then I'm like, okay. And then I have to start doing these things. You see what I mean? That is where we're leading. That is where we're going. That is what we're going to do. And for those of you who are lucky enough to have done the work and are still doing the work and are really tuning into your soul, right? You'll be there in the new earth with me. You know what I mean? And I think I might start a new offer called like, and y'all let me know what you think, but like I think I might want to start doing an offer of like soul reassignments. So it's like, for example, you came here on earth with a specific assignment, right? To like, learn this, to do that, to experience this, to learn this karmic lesson, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, okay, so your role in society is what? Right? Like, for example, I've always been a coach. I've always been a teacher. I've always been a fucking whatever, right? And so maybe I am in the old earth, but in the new earth, my role is very different. It's kind of exciting. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so exciting. So my soul gets reassigned in the new earth. It's not just like, oh, I've been in the old earth. I've just been this content creator, this teacher, this psychic, this like coach, this mentor, this blah, blah, blah. And like in the new earth, I'm not that. I'm something funner. Or at least funner for me. Not that I don't love teaching and not that I don't love sharing the wisdom drops, right? But it's like this knowledge needs to be shared so that more people can wake up. This knowledge these wisdoms needs to be dropped, whether it's free or not, so that the right people can find it, right? Like I'm the frequency, I'm the energy, I'm the lighthouse, I'm the beacon. And I'm like, if you're ready, if your soul is calling, if you know that this is what you're meant to do, come this way, follow me here. And then you can start to but like, then you can start to embark on that and create that realm and create that story and like use your new soul assignment to really understand who the fuck you really, really are and not who you were taught to be. That's the difference. I'm helping you remember who you really are versus who you were taught to be. And that's the unfuckery, right? That's where it's just like, that's that Eight of Swords, that Eight of Swords card in tarot, and just being so tied down by these invisible threads and like, okay, ancestral karma and breaking the chains from the past and like, oh, they said this and like, oh, this and that and blah, 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 blah. Bitch, it's like we all have it, right? Why are you so proud that, you know, your ancestors went through da-da-da-da? We were all motherfucking suppressed. And we're also being suppressed right now. So, really, what makes you any better or worse than me because your ancestors went through stuff that mine didn't? Give me a break. Pride is a deadly sin for a reason. I think that you should be proud of your own accomplishments, but being a prideful person is like a very, very ugly look to me on a person. I cannot stand proud people. It drives me crazy. I literally have to leave the room. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I gotta go by. Like people who constantly talk about, well, I went through all of this suffering, so I am now like free. And I'm like, no. Because if you really were free, you wouldn't have to try and prove it. If you really were free, if you really were finally in a place of peace, you wouldn't constantly have to like prove it to everybody. because you would be at peace. It wouldn't matter whatever the fuck anybody else said. And if you were trying to help other people, you wouldn't be constantly talking about yourself. You'd be like, what's your story? Oh, that makes sense. What about this? Kind of like Rudolph makes me just want to be like, I'm on my way, stately. Yeah, exactly. Jack, you get it. You get it. You know? So, oh my God, that's my coworker. He says that he always has it more difficult than everyone else. Yeah. And it's like a badge of honor for them. Like, I don't understand. Like, I really, really don't understand. Like, I think I brought up this example before, but I was watching this show called the Millionaire's Secret or something like that. It's some reality TV show on Netflix. I was bored. And this one very proud woman who was just mad that she didn't have the $1 million, like started gaslighting and basically treating this girl the way that her ancestors and her people have been treated for so many years. And she was literally becoming the perpetrator. And it was so disgusting. Sorry, my crystal's about to fall. Thank you. It was just so disgusting to watch how terrible she was basically vilifying this other woman. And the other one was like, can you please not mimic me like that? Like, that really hurts my feelings. Like, she was trying to be, like, stand up for herself in a kind way. And she's like, no, I'm going to, and, like, I can say whatever I want. And, like, you're, like, basically, like, your soul gives me the ick. Like, and I was like, ma'am, your soul is giving me the ick. Like, you just did that. I don't want to say on national television, but, like, streaming worldwide. Like, I would be so embarrassed if I was caught on camera doing what she was doing and they were going to air it for all people to see. Like, it was such unbecoming behavior. I think, like, someone else ended up calling her out on it, saying that she was, like, you know, calling her out on her stuff. And she was like, ew, I can't believe that she called me super professional. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but you act so proud. Like, because she was like, I would never have lied like that. I would have never lied. Like, how dare, like, you know what I mean? And you're just like, you're telling me that if you had the $1 million in your box and the goal was that if, you know, they found that it was you, they would vote you out, that you would be honest and you would tell everyone that you had the $1 million in your box and you wouldn't lie at all and you wouldn't do whatever it took to try and protect that money for yourself. Okay. That's a fucking lie. Like, of course she would. Of course she would lie. So it's like, what are you being such an asshole about? You know? And I hate people like that. Like, you're just like projecting all of this hate for no reason, except for the fact that you were hated on because of, you know, the color of your skin. Like, we all have gone through bullying in some shape, way, or form, regardless of your race, color, creed, gender, sexual orientation, whatever, right? Like, you know, and I hate to say it, but, like, even, like, the Karens get bullied, right? I mean, justified, but, you know, everybody has in some shape, way, or form. Now, how you take it, how you handle it, how you deal with it and alchemize it, or, you know, whatever, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But you also realize what boundaries you need to have. You realize what you are willing and not willing to put up with. You start to really recognize your worth. Otherwise, if you don't recognize your worth, you then become what? You feel worthless, and then they win, right? So, in all truth, if you really wanted to stop playing that game, you really do simply just have to walk away. Like, I mean, if there's someone super close to you, you have like a conversation with them and say, hey, I really don't appreciate being talked to in that fashion. But then if they still don't respect your boundary, then then your paths have diverged, and you can go this way and they can go that way, you know? And that's how it is. Like, I personally, unfortunately, outgrow my friends very, very quickly, just because of how quickly I ascend and how much I work on myself, and how I'm constantly like, okay, let's fix this, let's fix this, let's fix this. Like, my mom told me a couple weeks ago that when she took me to one of the Chinese fortune tellers when I was like a baby, like 6 months old or something, just to get my fortune told, like, what's her life going to be like, you know? And the guy was like, she has a different mission. And my mom was like, well, what kind of mission? Like, and he's like, I don't know, but it's not just like, oh, get married, have kids, like, have a happy home, and da-da. Like, she's doing something else. And like, now look at my life, I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have like, you know, husband with 2.5 kids and a dog and a fence, and like, just, you know, getting my 2 weeks of vacation a year. Like, I've created a whole entire like business and life and realm and like thing for myself. Like, it's just different, you know? Never in my life would I have expected that I had superpowers. I didn't ask for this. This wasn't how I had seen my life going. But, you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world. So, and Heather, I'm so glad that you understand, like, or you have a hard time understanding those kind of proud people too. Tyler, I was just talking about a TV show. It's just like, it was so crazy. But I think that a lot of people like that, right? They feel righteous. Like, they just feel like, oh, well, I suffered, so I'm entitled to be a bitch. And I'm like, that's not... Being empowered doesn't mean you get to hold that power over other people, because then you're just literally becoming the perpetrator who did that to you. And that's literally textbook 101 narcissist behavior. I've never said that I think that I'm better than anybody else, even with my superpowers and what I can do, which is kind of awesome. But I've never been like, oh yeah, I'm better than you, and so you just have to subscribe in order to get the blah, blah, blah. No. I'm still crazy and quote unquote flawed and fucked up and like psychotic as the next person. Right? We all have our own unique superpowers. We all have our own unique ways of seeing the world. We all have our own gifts that we get to bring to the table. And I think that when you discover what your gifts are and what you have to contribute to communities and society and the world, and you get to do it and you get to be celebrated for it, that's when the real magic happens. That's when we can come together cohesively and not fight each other all the time. And I think that's what we're working towards. So if that is something that you want to work towards, then yeah, get on my email list for free, subscribe to my Substack for free. I'm going to be launching my podcast soon, and I'll be making more of these videos for my Substack, and probably for YouTube soon. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics. But I love you. And I'm here for you. And if you have any last questions, of course, like, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them real quick before I hop off. But this has been illuminating, and I'm really glad to connect with you. And I'm glad that this is the final purge. I'm glad that this full moon in Libra is here. As much as I hate confronting more of these wounds, I'm glad that Chiron brought them up. I'm glad that Mars is going to be finally moving into Leo, so we can feel a little bit more of like, yeah, let's go and take that action. I do think that things are going to be moving more smoothly. I think that the road is going to become more clear. And I think that if you are doing the work, then there really is going to be much less to fear. And that's going to be really relieving to experience, because we get to create something new. So just be careful about, or I don't want to say be careful, but just take a moment to reflect on what paradigms, what systems you're still subscribing to, and see if they really are in fact helping you or not. And if they're not helping you and they're making you feel like shit, drop them and find new ones. You know what I mean? You can rewrite the rules anytime you want. Yes, my Substack does have the lowercase purple A as the picture. Yes, that's me. I just didn't want to put my face on it because it was just writing, and the thing is so tiny that I was like, let me just put a big fat purple, like lavender A, and then, perfect. Yes, that's me. Align with Alicia. Okay, does anyone else have any other questions before I head off? Any not like personal, but just like random questions? I don't know. That's a bad way of putting it. Sorry, I'm getting tired now, as you can tell. So my brain's like, I should have been in bed an hour ago to wake up at 4 a.m. again. But I love y'all so. Yay! Thank you, Heather. But I love you all so much. I would stay here. And that's the thing, right? Like, I have to say, I hate it. I don't really like doing the short form videos because now I'm like, oh, what do I even say? Because I've just been through such a massive death and rebirth, and I'm still in my rebirth phase, to be honest. That's why I'm still posting in my pajamas. But I love being live here with y'all. This is like my favorite place and space to go live. It's just intimate, it's fun, it's cozy, y'all get it, y'all hold space, y'all contribute. It's just a beautiful, beautiful energy, and I am so happy. Aw, thank you. I'm just so happy to be here. So thank you for hanging out with me on this beautiful full moon, and thank you for joining in on the frequency. You can feel it, right? It's different. It's really different. And it feels really good. Like something really good is coming. I do feel that. Yes! Happy Venus direct, Snow the Witch! Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. I'm just about to hop off, but yes. A whole new world. A dazzling place I never knew. But now from way up here, it's crystal clear, right? That now I'm in a whole new world with you. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. Let's sing it. Maybe that's the theme song. Yes, we brand new beings. Yay, have a wonderful ritual for the full moon in Libra. Thank you again so much for everyone joining. I will probably repost this on my Substack if you want to rewatch. And I will see you all in the next live. All right? Take care. I love you. You've got this.